are crying right now, Mazi.
Actually, my heart goes for our late president family and their agenda. I accept my deepest sympathy and condolences, and by extension to Nigerians who have lost a giant, who have lost a person who served this country wholeheartedly. My name is Mazi.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that introduction. And of course, we have, since you just right beside me, is Chris. It's good to have you on the show. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Well, today is public holiday in honor of the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari. I hold him in very high esteem. I strongly believe in his virtues. I believe he's a man of tall integrity, probably the very tallest in our political scene, in the history of our political scene, in terms of integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. So, he came, he saw, he conquered, but he's been sick for a while, managed it, and then now he bowed to it. The nation is mourning, and then, he has played his part and is out. Oh, thank God we're here.
Okay. Patricia, why are you laughing?
I don't understand. I don't know. The truth is.
Okay, I'm just going to spell that time. It's actually very amazing that we're here. And of course, everybody showing their content.
Except Chris is not laughing anyway.
It's smiling now.
But really, we can't even tell what is making us laugh. But we are just laughing.
Just to laugh it off. Some people have been asking how many times has he died, but then it's not what we're discussing.
No. He has died. And he's going to be buried today.
So
rest in peace.
Some say, may he obtain mercy. But there's no repentance in prayer anyway.
But like Chris said, he came, he saw, and he conquered. So may he so rest in peace.
Okay. All right. Anyways, as much as we are, mourning the death of the former president of Nigeria, we had some presence from citizens, of course, Nigeria, from the state of Kastina. While others were mourning, some were rejoicing. Well, let's quickly watch a short clips of Kastina residents. Some Kastina residents, are celebrating the death of the former president. And of course, we went back to analyze and try to understand why would Kastina residents be celebrating. And of course, we all know that's exactly where it's from. But anyways, let's quickly watch this video. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Okay, all right, yes, you're welcome back to your favorite show program because, well, that is the video that was so I'm going to start with Chris this time around, actually. Chris, what do you think about this whole event that played out? And we just watched the video. Not just this video, there are a lot of videos about that, and not just the Kastina state. We had some other states where we had some certain citizens of Nigeria celebrating. What do you think?
Well, I saw some of the videos, but I do not think it's elaborate as it's exaggerated to be. Just some scanty, sometimes some children and all of that. But the way it sounded at first was as if there was massive crowd celebrating that Buhari is dead and all of that. I thought that was exaggerated. However, there is no human that can have every person on his or her side. I tell you this for real. If Jesus, our Lord Jesus, comes up here and then there are people that will come out against him, you understand? That's normal. Even while Buhari was, despite the fact that he was a prince of the north, even in his own state, Kastina, there are millions of votes that goes against him. All right. So that is to say that not everybody will align with him, and that does not mean that he's not who worse. Okay. So people will naturally have different opinion. Am I just speaking? Can I speak a bit further about him?
Yeah. Please.
All right. Thank you. For a start, I thought that late President Muhammadu Buhari life was defined by honesty, modesty, integrity, truthfulness, and incorruptibility. I mean, this was a man. He was a governor, and was a minister, was head of state, was the first chairman of PDF, he was president. Okay? Probably not up to 2-3 Nigerians will have enjoyed public service at the highest level like Buhari did. Now, in all of these elevated offices, he maintained his simplicity to life. He maintained his virtues. He maintained his identity as one that is incorruptible. He lived a very simple life all through till he died. In his first advent, he came up with two policies that I thought if Nigerians had stayed with that, Nigeria today with what we have in terms of potential and wealth, Nigeria would have been next to America. He did why? War against indiscipline. I was pretty young then, but I saw it. I felt the policy. It was a time that Nigerians were orderly. Probably the first and only time I saw Nigerians being orderly. Because we would queue to do stuff, even in the bank, you queue at the station, bus stop, people, it brought orderliness to the psyche of Nigerians. Of course, yes, it was coercive, because it came as a military person. That's the only way military know how to push things across. But the import of it was to bring orderliness to our consciousness. And that was working. If his government has stayed long enough and we have been able to entrench that virtue, when we're saying the disorderliness we see in Nigeria, because one of the things that destroyed this nation, as it were, is that level of disorderliness that is just rampaging in our nation. But he brought that sanity of orderliness, but of course, the government didn't stay too long enough to have entrenched that virtue. And it also brought accountability. When it came to power, it changed currency. Because the previous government of Shagari was labeled to be hellishly corrupt, alright? So he needed to sanitize that. So it changed currency to bring about accountability. And he said, okay, fine, go back to the bank and claim your money that you had in the bank before. Go claim it, but just account for how you got that money. But there were people that could not account for their money, left their money at home, and it became rotten and useless. And of course, that brought some hardship to the economy because money was lost, money became invalidated. But what he was trying to do as at that time was to bring about accountability. Just like you have in England today. You will, every dime you have, you will be able to account for it. But they built a system around accountability such that you cannot even steal. I remember one of US former Olympian, Owen Jackson, almost went to jail for extra $10,000 US he could not account for because somebody gave it to you in an envelope. Right? That is how tight that system was. So it was trying to build a system like that, whereby every money you earn, it will be traceable to, you'll be accountable for it. And if that system had stayed with us, had been a culture with us as a nation, as a people, the massive stealing we see with politicians today would have been impossible. Just like it's impossible to steal in England, like we steal in Nigeria. That was when the former Prime Minister of England said, if the stealing happened in Nigeria, happened in England will shut down as a nation. England will cease to exist. That kind of virtue he brought on board. But it was misunderstood. Because Nigeria didn't have its level of integrity, level of truthfulness. We didn't like that system. So they shut it down and put it off power. But today, after many years, we are the ones that lost for it. Because if the money that had been stolen from Nigeria had not been stolen and put to public use, we will talk about Nigeria in this manner, this way. Alright, but in the second advent, which many people didn't, that saw the second advent, didn't have the experience of the first advent, and they had different things about it. But what I would say is this, I'm very critical. You see, my problem with many Nigerians is the inability to be cohesive with juggling between one sport to another. Because what we do oftentimes is that we just pick things from the top and then we look without the necessary ability of looking at it downward. Government is continuing. When Buhari came on board, it's going to make enormous challenges. Number one, it came on board at the time, before then, 2024, economic experts have said, when we become president in 2015, we inherit hell for a nation. Even Okodruela, that was the Minister of Finance, as at that time, said the same. Okay, because of the things that happened before then. Alright, but when he came on board, of course, yes, the economy had been damaged, so he made something, and he cried out at the empty treasury and all of that. But then he tried to manage it. The first thing he did was single treasury account. Now, single treasury account was a brainchild of Okodruela. Brilliant idea. But the PDP could never implement it. And the reason is simple. Because what you're trying to say with single treasury account is this. That means every money goes into the federal account. But there are agencies, departments in the federal government, right, that have over 300 accounts. So money was porous. People were having government money here and there. Things were just flowing. And this kind of money were flowing to the economy and people were enjoying it. Money was circulation and all of that. It didn't matter if it was corruption money, corruption, proceeds of corruption. It didn't matter. People were just happy. We had a lot of money to spend and all of that. But what we didn't understand was that we were going to pay for it in the future because we were not structured. And then I think it came to correct and people didn't understand.
Okay, Chris, I want to quickly ask a question before Blossom takes over. Okay. So Mazi, Chris has said all that he has said, but my concern with that video, I'm going back to the video, especially the one from Kano State. We had out of school children who were the major people celebrating that, Buhari had passed off. They were under rain, inside water, celebrating. These were out of school children. What do you think came into their head that the man didn't have enough policy to send them back to school, or what's your take about the video?
Well, thank you once again. To me, I watched that video. It's the only one from Kastina where small children were celebrating, singing outside and raising his dates. It's a bad moment. It's something that tells a lot that instead of you to mourn their day that they praise, you are celebrating his date. Having said that, I think Chris has touched so many areas. But to me, many people have described him as he was a gallant soldier when he was in the military. And he fought the Nigerian Civil War. He fought to keep Nigeria in one, up to the point of leading the troop to Enugu, Onitsha. When he came out, I think 1983, when he took over from here, he dethroned Shagare because of corruption. He brought some sanity into the system. Brought a war against indiscipline, other things we have ordered. But we thought that he was the one doing it. And that was why many people clamored for him to come back. But when actually he tried first, second, we discovered that he was desperate in getting power. Desperate was that, because we heard him say that blood will flow if he does not win. And we saw it what happened. He opened the gates of this insecurity and all that. That's a part. But we also remember that the South is remember him because of the second Nigeria, even if it has not been completed. Then we also remember that he renamed Abiola, the national assembly Abiola. But then, during his tenure, like other people, including his friend Absalom, he said that they were enlisted in the military in 1962, and he was a decent man, transparent man, honest man, a man of integrity. This is a man, if you want sincerity, go to him. I remember reading a magazine, I think, Newsweek, or the Time, those where we went to direct to interview him. He said he was surprised that he was lying on the bare floor on the mats. And the type of rice that was brought, jollof rice, nothing. That was the type of simplicity the man was. Then, Absalom said, he was a farmer, he was a gentleman, very sincere, very straightforward person, until he came to be the Nigerian
Democratic president.
Yes. He said he never knew what happened. The officers messed him up. And he also knew that during his tenure, the corruption index climbed beyond the sky.
True.
We also discovered that security was nothing to write home about. We also remembered during his campaign, he said he will do one refinery each year. He spent 8 years. He didn't do anything. Then we also discovered nepotism was all over him. He was the first president who did not appoint minister until 6 months. Then he said, why must he be in a hurry to appoint minister? What do you call them now? Permanent secretary were doing the job. Why do the ministers were stealing the money? They were corrupt. That was when he went to America. Tom said, Nigerians are fantastically corrupt. He said, right? Okonjo-Iweala cautioned, said, why do you have to go and demarcate your country? So, in the eyes of the world, Nigeria became corrupt. And Nigeria became the worst corrupt nation during his tenure. Then the poverty level climbed from here beyond the sky, beyond the even very close to the sky. So, with all these things now, we thought he will now bring sanity into political circles. Unfortunately, we also knew that he removed the former Chief Justice of the Federation, Onovo, because he was to preside over the 2019 elections. And this was a man that gave him 3-2 when he contested. So, in summary, I think Nigerians are not happy with him that he didn't lead us well, full of everything. Things. That's why people are jubilating. But we should be cautious. What shall we be remembered for? Our leaders, do they know that this life is temporal? What shall you be remembered for? So to me, Chris has tried better. I think Nigerians are not happy.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. We have a message, but we have some calls. Let's see if we could pick a call or two before moving on. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Abdul Karim Ismail, calling from Abuja State in
Local State. Okay. Please go ahead. We're listening.
Okay. Just a contribution regarding carrying the matter. I think just like the analyst said there, it is very, very important whatever we are doing that one day is going to fall history. Unfortunately, Nigeria as a country, we do very much to forget our history, where we are coming from, what would be of us in the nearest future. Because history has been totally forgotten in Nigeria. If only history remembered in our school, in our way of life, I'm very, very sure there are a lot of people that will not even come into the political terrain. There are a lot of people that will not even come into political terrain because, to me, if you start down and study Buhari administration, both in the military as well as that of civilians, the similarities are very, very clear. There is no much difference. There is no much difference. The only difference that is not putting on the military wear anymore. But the attitude, the behavior, I do what I want to do is always there. So it is very, very important that you should always give a lesson. And if you look at this Buhari authority, it's fine. But what is the lesson point here? What are we going to do to measure that this kind of thing should not repeat? Is that I've never seen where a Nigerian president died and people are celebrating like this. It shouldn't be like that. So we know that is one of the things that can happen to anybody. But there is need for we to see what can we do that will have a very good legacy. Gone are the days where Nigeria remember people's names for what their father has done. People remember your father and based on what have they achieved, what kind of work have they put in place. Nobody is remembering that, okay, this person has a good behavior, this person has a bad behavior. Nobody is remembering that anymore. So if you can prioritize legacy good names than that of words or money, I think Nigeria will be a better country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that one. All right, let me just read a message before we go for the topic we have for today. This one says, you people first transferred your laughter to me. All right, I'm happy you share our joy. Well, you don't know why we're laughing though. But anyway, it says judgment begins in the world. When Nelson Mandela died, it was all sorrow for the country, even us. Look at our own children, adults celebrating. If we take percentage of people happy / the percentage of unhappy people for his death, which one would be the highest? Now, truth be told, let the ones alive learn lessons, even me. This is Raymond from Lagos State. Anyway, thank you so much for that message. So we'll have to go to